What's up, tribe? Oh, excuse me. What's up, tribe? Go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I hope you like this video. This is Married to Medicine Season 8, Episode 2. So we pick up where we left off. We are still at the pool party for Damon's 50th birthday. Toya then walked off. She then went over to the men and told the men, I'm sick of your wife, and I'm sick of your wife, and I'm sick of all this fake shit. And so Eugene said, let me get my wife up out of here, because clearly she is inebriated. And they exit stage left. We get back over to lady. She done left Anaya, her friend's name Anaya. She done left her friend sitting there looking crazy. Now I ain't say this in my review last week, but I don't know how I feel about Miss Anaya because she was inserting herself in situations last week that ain't have nothing to do with her. I didn't feel like it was her place to be inserting herself in the business. So the ladies are back over there, and Heavenly is like, well, what's going on? Because I thought after the reunion, me and you were good. And Simone was like, you know what? So then, so she said, you know what? I wish that I could have picked up the phone and called you, but we're good. And so, Heavenly was like, okay, so we're good. She said, yeah, we're good. She said, okay, now what about you and Jackie? And Simone said, it hurt my feelings when we were at the reunion, and you said that you feel like your relationship with Heavenly was equal to your relationship with me, because me and you are 20 years in this. We done been through parents dying, we done been through divorces, almost divorces, about to be divorced. We done been through a lot of stuff together. And for you to say that this woman who you done had this up and down relationship with is equal, or you feel the same level of friendship with than that you had with me, that hurt my feelings. Anyway, I think I already said what I got to say about that. And she said, and for you to think that I didn't have your back with Buffy, I told Buffy that that's not who you are and that's not what your heart, but for you to feel like I didn't have your back with Buffy, like, come on, like, you know me better than that. And not Toya, Lord. Simone actually ended up getting up and walking away. She, cried. She got emotional. And both of them were actually crying. And she ended up coming back. She said, listen, I'm ready to go. But let me go back and say goodnight. And somehow or another, her and Dr. Heavenly done got into a damn argument about the tweets and stuff from last season. And I was like, I thought y'all just got finished saying that y'all was good. I really thought that y'all just got finished saying that y'all were good. How we got back on the whole tweets from last season, I will never fucking know. Then we had Damon. Well, at this point, everybody's getting ready to go home. Then we had Damon holding Dr. Heavenly back, talking about we don't need this, there's too much going on, we got the COVID, we got black men dying in the streets. This one we not gonna do this whole season. I love you, Damon, I really do, but this one we not gonna do, because Cecil did the same thing. We are not, every time these ladies get into an argument, turn this into well, we got so much Black Lives Matter, and we have so much going on with black people. We're not doing that. Y'all know what the show is. Y'all know what the show gives. We're not going to stop every time these women get into an argument and turn it into a Black Lives Matter moment. That ain't what we doing. Anyway, child, we went home. They went home, daggone it. They went home. So then we see, how we always see the different scenes of the different people doing the different things. We see Toya coming home from tennis practice talking to her kids. And what we find out is that Toya has pulled her children out of the school, their neighborhood school, well, the Christian school they were in, and she put them in another school. Because she said, you know what, as soon as we got there, I saw that they didn't have enough color at this school. And I didn't like it. But when Black Lives Matter came around and I felt like they weren't having the conversation with the kids like they should have been, then that's where I really had a problem. And so she put them in a different school that's going to give them more diversity, which I was like, kudos to you, Toya, because we really do need to be more conscious of that. Sometimes we can't just be focused on, oh, well, this is a good school for our kids and it's going to help them get into a good college. Sometimes we do need to be focused on, are they learning about who they are? And are they learning of love of self and all of that? until Toya started talking about how much the school costs. I don't think that's something that's a conversation for children. Children should never know that. Talking about something, so don't be wasting my money. You know, there's a way of saying that without talking about the school costs $25,000, so you need to make sure you earn it. Can you stop while I'm doing my review? See what I'm dealing with over here? Anyway, then we have Dr. Cone, Tessa, and Scott. They are opening up a practice together. We see them, you know, unfortunately, they picked the worst time to decide to do this. They did it in the middle of COVID, well, at the beginning of COVID. Everything got pushed back because of COVID permits and working and all of that. And so, I'm sure for every month that building was sitting empty, it was costing them money, you know. So, unfortunately, it was a bad time. But they are, you know, they're ready to do this. They're going to open up a business together, practice together. Now, they go through all of this, talking about the practice and all of this and all that. And then they start talking about how their marriage is still in a bad place. That is probably not a good decision to open up a business as serious as a medical practice with a man that y'all marriage is still on shaky ground. I just feel like that probably wasn't the best decision. And then y'all stopped going to therapy because Scott said, well, I feel like we could just handle it at home amongst ourselves. If you could handle it at home amongst yourselves, your ass wouldn't have been in therapy to begin with. Scott. Come on, Scott. You know better. Anyway, I don't think that's the most prudent decision. Now, call me crazy, whatever. I just don't think that's the most prudent decision, child. Dr. Heavenly gets a visit from Funky Neva. Funky Neva is one of the best to do this. Started doing reviews before I even thought about YouTube. Huge, you know, in my mind, a huge YouTube blogger. And he went to her to get his teeth done, honey. You know, we always get the cameos from the celebrities that come to them to get their services. So I'm here for it. Go ahead, Funky Neva. Then we get to know the new lady a little bit better, okay? She gets her moment, right? We see her at home with the family. Her and her husband with their 2 children. We find out that she used to be in the corporate world before she married her doctor. And she was she worked at a fragrance company. She said Devil Wears Prada, that's what she did, right? And but when she got married, you know, of course she became a stay-at-home mom, but now she does influencing and blogging online. You know, she took that, and so she still does it, and so that's what she does for a living, right? They are also building a home, and of course they also chose the worst time possible to decide to build a house in the beginning of, you know, the pandemic. He also had to close. Now, Dr. Heavenly talked about how she had to close her practice for 2 months. He, too, had to close his practice for 2 months, it sounded like. Because she was like, do you think we can recoup? You think you're going to be able to recoup that money you lost for that 2 months? And he kind of gave her that look like, girl, that money gone. Like, at this point, you don't recoup. You just pick up where you left off. Like, how do you go back and recoup 2 months of medical appointments? Like, you can, because he has a very specialized specialty. He is an ocular plastic surgeon. So, I mean, that's not a run-of-the-mill general practitioner, right? So he's in high demand, I'm sure. But at the end of the day, it's not like you can go back and pick up all of those older appointments that people canceled or changed their mind or found another doctor who was open during COVID, you know. But we see with the lot of their house, her and Toya became friends. Toya introduced her to the ladies in the neighborhood and all that good stuff. And that's how they're friends. And, of course, that's how she's coming on to the show. Like I said, I got my eye on her. I don't know how I'm going to feel about her. I don't know if I'm going to like her or not. Because I felt like last week when the women got to arguing, when you the new girl on the block, I don't care if you went back and binge watched this show and you seen every episode. You sit down and you be quiet. And you just let the shit play out. And when you in it, you in it. But you ain't got to put 2 cents in it, okay? Ain't nothing wrong. Anyway. But she's got building this big house. I think she said they're going to have a 4-car garage, child. They're going to have a garage for their daggone, for the golf cart. Okay. You know that's when you're big time. When you got a garage for the golf cart. Okay. All right. So Dr. Simone is having a graduation party for her son. It is a socially distanced event. It is outdoors. They're doing like a little cookout situation. And, she said, listen, I didn't even know we were going to have a graduation, but the school made it possible for them to have a socially distanced graduation. We saw, the footage from the graduation. It was earlier that day, and she's having it in the parking lot of her practice. So, listen, you got to make it do what it do. And as someone who is in education, I felt so bad for all of our graduates last year. We went through it in my district trying to figure out what we could do for the graduates and try to make it as normalized as possible, even amid and among what we were dealing with. So definitely, giving him props for that, for graduating. And he did get a scholarship. We had a whole conversation last week about the scholarship to college and, where he was going to college and why he was going to go there and all of that. We learned a little bit more about Simone, honey. Simone was a baller in undergrad, honey. She was working as a bartender, and she had men picking her up in the BMWs and stuff. Cecil said, listen, I had me a little Hyundai Excel. Listen, one of my good friends in high school had a Hyundai Excel, child. We wore that Hyundai Excel out. So I know exactly what he's talking about. Them things, I don't even think they make them no more. But, baby, we wore that daggone Hyundai Excel out. Do you hear me? Anyway, but they were roommates. They probably were living in off-campus housing, and they were roommates. They were both seniors. She was a senior at Spelman. He was a senior at Morehouse, and that's how they started dating. But those of you who've been watching the show from the beginning, you probably already know that, but I ain't know that. Anyway, but it was a great event. But what was interesting was Jackie wasn't invited. And Simone was saying, like, at this point, Jackie is just not somebody that's in my normal thought process. Like, she's just not somebody. And I was thinking, wow, you invited the new girl, but you didn't invite Jackie? But it looked like it was a nice event, honey. And while this is going on, we flash over to Jackie, who came home. And she was very upset about the fact that she wasn't invited, which means that she knew about it. And she said, I helped deliver him. I helped deliver Michael. I've been in this child's life his whole life. And no matter where me and Simone are in our friendship, it hurts that she wouldn't think enough of who we have been as throughout our life in the past to invite me. And you know what? I feel Jackie on that one. Because I've been in situations like that. You get to a point where you may not be as close with somebody as you once were. But at the end of the day, you become a part of people's life. Your family's intertwined. You know their mama. They know your cousin. You know each other's children. And it does become hurtful. It becomes very hurtful. So I understood and I felt Jackie in that moment to be excluded from that event and excluded from that situation. And Curtis told her point blank, listen, both of y'all are stubborn and one of y'all gonna have to give. Like, you just gonna have to make a decision about what you care about more. You care more about, and I think he told her the same thing last week. What you care about more? You care more about your pride, or you care more about mending your relationship with your friend? You gotta figure it out, and I can't disagree with that. Now, we have Simone and Dr. Heavenly, right? Simone goes over to Dr. Heavenly's house so that they can talk. She said, listen, I can only fix one relationship at a time. And right now, Heavenly is the easiest because I'm not ready for Jackie. I'm not ready for the conversation that I'm going to have with Jackie. I'm not ready to go down that lane that I'm going to have to go down with Jackie. So Dr. Heavenly is the easiest conversation for me to have. And so they go over and they're outside and they're enjoying, some cocktails and everything. And I just feel like they had the same damn conversation they done already had. I feel like they've had this conversation 3 or 4 times. I know I sent the tweets. I was angry. I sent them out of anger. I shouldn't have sent them. I'm sorry. I won't do it again. Well, maybe I shouldn't promise not to do them again because I always promise and I do it again. So can we start over? Can we start fresh? We don't have no problem with each other, sure. Then next thing you know, baby, the dog then came through. I don't know if it was a squirrel or a bird, But I really wish they had cut that scene out because you could hear it squealing. It sounded like a a doll. Those squeal toys that you give to pets where it's oh my gosh. I had to cut it off because it was so grating on my nerves. Just grating. Yeah, so that's just what it was. Anyway, that was this episode, y'all. Y'all let me know what y'all think. But I know we setting ourselves up with the Contessa situation with Contessa and Scott. I know we are. But I just don't think going into business together is the best idea when y'all already having some marital issues. Okay. Excuse me. And then we definitely I got my eye on the new girl. I don't know how I feel about her. I don't think I like her too much. Anyway, y'all let me know what y'all think. Drop it in them comments. Peace.